On my sewing machine, I'm going to remove that piece so that I have more room. And I like to start at the back, just as my point of reference. I'm going to remove that pin. And depending on what your machine can do, you can do just a regular straight stitch. I'm going to go ahead and do a stretch straight stitch, which is this one on my machine, just so that my waistband has a little bit more stretch to it and is really strong for that stretch. So I've got my pants, my 2 layers of my waistband. I'm going to hold on to my tails, and off I go. Alright, so now I've got a few stitches sewn. Now that I'm stable, I'm going to pull so that my pants are going to use up that whole waistband. You want to stretch the waistband, not the pants. So notice I'm pulling the top, I'm not pulling the bottom. Go ahead and stop and readjust often, that's fine. This is not a race, that's for sure. Sometimes it kind of flips up and you just gotta get under there and flip it back. Alright, so this pin marks my halfway point, so I know that I'm doing alright because my waistband is still lining up. I've got a little bit of stretch in there. Okay, just keep going. This pin marks my 3/4 point. I'm getting there. Alright, home stretch. And do a little backwards. Trim off all these extra strings. And let's see. There we go. Notice how our waistband curves in so that it'll fit and have plenty of room for stretch and growth. Our seam is on the inside, that's good. If you want to go through with a pair of scissors and cut off a little bit of this extra, that's great. Next, all we gotta do is hem these pants. I forgot to say earlier, the reason why I did not use my serger for the inside of the pants is because as the serger blade cuts, when it gets to this V in the center, it cuts right here into the center and makes a hole in the crotch. So I'm sure somebody smarter than me has figured out how to do that, but I just go back to my sewing machine for the crotch and just use the serger for the inside. So all the hard work is finished. Alright, so we're back at the measuring mat, and I've got my whole project inside out, and I am measuring the inseam. For this pair of pants, I want a 10-inch inseam. Oh, excuse the whining here. Here's the boy responsible for the whining. Hi, baby. Hi. Oh, son. Yes? You want these? Okay, so I'm ready to get my hem done on these pants. That's the last step. I have them inside out, and I know that I want a 10-inch inseam. So I just kind of take a ruler and put it right up against there, and pull, and I'm just going to flip the fabric up and just kind of move it with my fingers until I get to right where I want it, 10 inches. Okay, just kind of eyeball. And I just put a couple of pins, not a whole lot. And then I'm going to come over here to this side and do the same thing. So I have my ruler. Flip the leg. Put the ruler right into the crotch. And measure right at 10. Now don't worry if there's a whole lot of fabric left over. I would rather have a whole lot of fabric left over here than not enough, because we can always trim it when we're done. And just to make sure that everything's going to look even, I like to kind of just fold it in half and make sure, okay. Does everything look nice and even? See, I think this piece looks a little bit too long. So I'm going to slide it under a little bit more. Okay. Hold it up. How do they look? One side looks longer than the other. Lay them flat. They look good. Fold it over the other way. How's everything lining up? All 4 layers are lining up pretty good. Okay, I'm ready to sew. Okay, so I just measured this length, the length of my inseam from the crotch down, and I knew I wanted it to be 10 inches. So I just measured 10 inches, flip my fabric over. I'm looking at the inside of the pants here, and I remove my little piece here so that I can put my fabric through. And And I've got it pinned, so no worries there. And it's okay if there's a lot of extra fabric here. I'd rather have there be a lot of fabric than not enough, because I can always cut it off later. I'm just using a regular straight stitch here. Holding on to the end, going backwards a little bit. And I'm just going about 1/8 of an inch in. I don't like there to be a real big hem. Let your feed dogs do the work. Pull out the pins as you go. Bless you, baby. We're all sick around here. When you get to where you started, go over a little bit. Back it up. Cut off your string. So this is the outside of my pants. It's going to look nice. I'm just going to take a pair of scissors and cut all this extra stuff off after I do my other side. And all that extra fabric all the way around. Another technique is if you were doing a pair for a girl, as you were sewing this hem, if you pull the fleece tight and do an overlock stitch or use a serger and pull it tight, that creates a wavy little lettuce edge, and it's super cute for girls.